The United States is not sending a delegation to Davos as it deals with that partial government shutdown. The shutdown, the trade dispute, and rising U.S. interest rates will be a big part of discussion at the World Economic Forum. Brai Odion-Esene joins us now to explain. He's the founder of SW4 Insights, a public policy advisory firm. Welcome, Brai, to our program.
Thank you for having me.
Let me get your reaction to the latest numbers from the IMF. Basically warning growth will slow to 3.5% in 2019 this year, down from 3.7% in 2018. Are these significant numbers we're talking about here?
I think it's less about the numbers and about what it means for the economy more broadly, because we're talking about a situation where people will start to see their lives as a whole basically become less prosperous, shall we say. And then what does that mean for unrest around the globe? Because if you've seen in previous years, like go back to the crisis 10 years ago, once you have bad economic numbers, it leads to bad geopolitical issues and then more unrest, and then it has a knock-on effect.
This year's theme at Davos, at the World Economic Forum, Globalization 4.0, shaping a global architecture in the age of the fourth industrial revolution. What in the world does that even mean?
Well, leaving aside the irony that at an exclusive event in Switzerland, they're going to solve,
all the problems
in the world.
Ordinary folks.
Exactly. I think what they're saying here is that they've recognized between Brexit, between Trump's election in the United States, the Yellow Jackets protests recently, that more needs to be done by the global elite to have more inclusive growth, shall we say. Because it seems like the sense for a lot of common people is that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And so the attempt here at Davos is to begin the conversation, once again, you might say, about ways to get more people to come along and, I guess, enjoy in the bounty that they are able to partake of.
Interesting. All right. So you mentioned the yellow vest protesters in France. Emmanuel Macron, one of the leaders who is not going to the World Economic Forum. President Trump is not going. Theresa May is not going. Chinese President Xi Jinping is not there. Does that change anything? Does that change the conversation in any way?
I don't think so. I've always viewed Davos as a place more for the private sector to have these conversations. And yes, you might get a few world leaders who will show up and give big speeches and basically lay out their policy agendas for the year. So, for example, you have the Brazilian president who will be there for the first time. It's his chance to say, hey, look, we're open for business. Here are my reform proposals to turn things around. And then it gives private sector leaders a chance to have their conversations and figure out how they can make their contributions to the global economy. So I don't think the fact that Theresa May won't be there, that Macron won't be there, that Trump won't be there, that Xi Jinping won't be there, I don't think that takes away from the importance of the event.
So what will you be looking at specifically from this year's event?
I think will there be any meaningful proposals beyond just talk?
But isn't that the issue every year, Brai?
Yes, and that's why, to be frank, I'm skeptical that it'll be different this year, but one can hope.
Let me ask you about the dangers of climate change, rising populism. These are, of course, some of the issues on the table. Trade dispute. Okay, so we're going to have the conversation. At these types of events, like we've been talking about, is there ever any kind of concrete, tangible action plan?
I think usually you get a chance for a lot of companies to announce initiatives. So it could be around climate change, it could be around improving digital footprints around the world in areas where they might not have as much exposure to technology. And so you might get, like a JP Morgan or one of those like big financial giants announcing, like funding or increased like funds set aside for that. So on the private side, you will see something like that. Again, it's not like a government-led initiative. I'm not expecting anything on that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Brai Odion-Esene, thank you so much.
Thank you.